Well, I'm working on barrels this morning, and I'm going to have 15 barrels ready to go here for this year. And I kind of wanted to just kind of talk you through the process that I've arrived at for the types of barrels that I use and why I'm using them the way I do. And as you probably know, if you followed this for very long, that I'm not a guy that stops tweaking things. I'll probably continue to tweak this system, but I've used 55-gallon steel drums, 55-gallon poly drums, and also these 30-gallon poly drums. And I like these poly ones, the 30-gallon ones, because they're easier to pack into areas. They're lighter, so they're easier to handle, they're easy to cut, and they don't have sharp edges and stuff like that. And so that's the primary reason why I've settled on these things. There are plenty of times when I would like to have 55 gallons of bait in an area, but with a 30-gallon drum like this, you just have to bait a little more often. And I can put quite a few buckets full of peanuts and pastries and trail mix and stuff like that in these barrels. And as you can see, I use a hole that's big enough so that the bears can stick their paw in there and reach around. I've found that if they can't reach all of the bait that's in the barrel, then they start tearing the barrel off the tree and twisting it and everything like that. But if they can reach it, then they're a lot easier on the barrels. The barrels last a lot longer, and you don't have to worry about coming back to the site and finding that the barrel's just completely torn off the tree or whatever. Now, I use the chains around these barrels, 2 chains, and lag bolt them to the trees in most places. There are certain places that I hunt where I'm not allowed to screw anything into the tree, so be sure you check your local laws. But mostly I lag them to the tree with lag screws, and then if I can't, then I bolt the chain. Now, I started out using barrels with holes in the middle of the side, and I discovered that if the bait wasn't all gone when I'd come back to refill it, then I'd put more bait on top, and then the bait in the bottom of the barrel wasn't getting used up, and it would start to rot on me. So I thought, okay, I will put the hole in the bottom of the side, which I did. That way all of the bait gets used off the bottom first, and when you put new bait on, it just works its way down. But what I discovered with that is that as I set the barrel on the ground, then the bears, when they would come in and you'd be ready to hunt, and the bears would come in and they just flop down and lay there, which is not a good shot. The thing that I settled on was to put a hole in the bottom of the side, but then I just put it on a bucket when I attach it to a tree, so it's basically bucket height above the ground, and that way the bears will stand there, or sometimes they'll sit for a little bit, but they'll feed on it without laying down. So that's the way I've solved that problem. So the only thing that I've discovered about this type of barrel that needs work is that it has this plastic lid, and they can just bite and tear it off. It doesn't seem to matter what I put in the little ring here to keep. Normally you couldn't open it, but a bear certainly can. And I've only had a couple situations where bears have pulled the top off the barrel, and that's basically because they can get their paw up in there and they can tell if there's any feed in there or not. Typically, if they can look in there or feel in there and find that there's no bait, there's no reason for them to tear the top off the barrel. And of course, my strategy, as you know if you've watched this, is to always make sure that there's plenty of bait in the barrel all the time, and I bait them as often as I have to. When a bear comes to the barrel, he needs to be rewarded with something good to eat, and so that way I'm baiting as often as I need to make sure that there's something always in the barrel. And if they're satisfied and there's something in the barrel, they're a lot less likely to start trying to chew on things and bite the barrel and pull it off the tree and so forth. So anyway, I got a lot more work here to do. I'm working on I got 6 done out of 15, and I'm painting these barrels. I've mentioned before that I really like white barrels because they tend to gather light and they give you that extra few minutes of shooting light. If you're in a heavy area with lots of cover, you know, you can run out of shooting light here within even 5 or 10 minutes before the end of legal shooting time, and a white barrel helps you with that. But rather than paint these blue barrels white, I just decided it's better to have them camouflaged, because almost all of the places that I'm hunting is on public land, and I just assumed people didn't look out across there and see my barrel. And so I prefer to keep them hidden, and that's just a trade-off that I've decided to make. So another thing that I've been thinking about is trying to figure out a way to use cable instead of chain, because chain's a lot heavier, it's noisy, and it's a lot more expensive than cable. So I'd prefer to use cable, but I haven't figured out the right way to attach the cable to the barrel in a way that the bears can't just pull it off, and also to attach it to the tree, because obviously I'm using trees of a lot more different sizes. I got about 6.5 foot of chain on each of these, but I might be chaining to a tree this size or a tree this size, and so I haven't figured out how to make that work with cable, because with chain you have a lot of different lengths to choose from, and with cable you just probably have just one loop, or maybe you could put 2 loops in it or something. But anyway, that's something I'm looking for suggestions. Leave a comment below and tell me what you think of this, or if you got any ideas that would really help. I'm all ears. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.